The Mojave sun bore down mercilessly on the skeletal figure of a lion, barely recognizable as the king of beasts. Once majestic, he now lay motionless, every rib jutting through a filthy, matted coat, his shallow breaths nearly imperceptible. Wildlife veterinarian Dr. Arlo Vance, on a routine patrol through the Sonoran Preserve, thought the animal was already dead. Until it moved, it was Mateo Rios, Arlo's experienced field guide, who first spotted the lion slumped beside a dried-up waterhole. The animal was in a horrific state, emaciated, covered in sores, and too weak to lift his head. He was estimated to be about 8 years old, a full-grown male that somehow ended up alone in this barren wasteland. In 30 years, I've never seen a lion this far gone and still alive, Vance told a local reporter later. But what stunned him most wasn't the lion's condition. It was the look in his eyes. When Vance knelt beside him, the lion turned his head and locked eyes with him. It wasn't aggression. It wasn't fear. It was something else. It felt like he was pleading with me, Vance recalled. Like he understood help had arrived. Despite every instinct and guideline telling him the animal was past saving, Vance chose to try. Severe dehydration had turned the lion's gums ghostly white. His hind legs were limp, likely paralyzed, and without food or water for weeks, his body was shutting down. Vance acted quickly. He set up in 4-line and began emergency fluid therapy, administering antibiotics and electrolytes while Mateo radioed for a helicopter evacuation. The lion didn't resist. Instead, he lay still, eyes following Vance's every move, occasionally making soft, almost grateful noises as the desert cooled rapidly that night. Vance stayed beside him, shielding the lion from the wind with emergency blankets and his own body. Throughout the night, the lion never looked away from him. Each time Vance checked his vitals or adjusted the line, the lion responded with faint, rumbling sounds. Not the roar of a predator, but something closer to a purr. It was like he trusted me completely, Vance later said, and that trust kept me going. At dawn, the helicopter arrived. During the turbulent flight, Vance kept the lion sedated and stable. They landed at Hope Haven Animal Hospital, where Dr. Lena Maxwell, the lead veterinarian, was skeptical about the rescue's viability. Even if he survives, he won't be releasable, she warned. He can't hunt. He can't defend himself. But when she saw the lion, emaciated but alert, breathing steadily, her medical instincts kicked in. The lion's demeanor shocked her. He didn't lash out or resist as they transferred him to the surgical table and fitted him with an oxygen mask. He was aware, Maxwell wrote in her report, and he allowed us to help. Tests confirmed a spinal injury, likely from a fall or attack, which had paralyzed his hind legs. He also suffered from severe malnutrition, infection, and failing organs. His survival odds were grim, less than 10%. The surgery lasted over 8 hours. Vance remained in the operating room the entire time. Even under anesthesia, the lion appeared to calm when Vance was nearby. As he woke up, the first thing he did was search for Vance's face. They named him Sahara. Vance took personal charge of his recovery. He slept beside him in the clinic for weeks, administering medication, helping with physical therapy, and keeping the lion company. The bond between man and beast deepened in ways no one could explain. Sahara became visibly distressed whenever Vance left the room. When he returned, the lion made soft chuffing sounds and tried to nuzzle his hand. It was like family, said Nurse Clarabelle. He responded to Arlo like a cub to its parent. A breakthrough came in the 4th week. During a routine check, Sahara moved. For the first time since his rescue, he flexed his back paws and lifted his tail. The spinal damage was healing. The hospital staff watched in stunned silence. The rehabilitation that followed was intense. Sahara learned to stand with assistance, then to walk short distances with the help of a custom-built harness. Each step was a victory, each moment a miracle, but questions loomed. What would become of him? A lion that couldn't return to the wild. What life could he have? Vance knew keeping him caged was no kind of future, but releasing him into the wild could be a death sentence. He contacted conservation groups, hoping someone would provide long-term sanctuary. Yet many were reluctant to take on a predator with complex needs. Just as hope seemed to fade, an offer came from an unexpected place. The desert's heartbeat, a lion's second life. Dr. Arlo Vance never expected to find life in the heart of the Mojave Desert. But lying motionless beneath the blazing sun was a dying African lion, skeletal, dehydrated, and paralyzed. Yet in his sunken eyes, Vance saw something rare, the will to survive. With no time to spare, Vance stabilized the lion with fluids and pain medication, then airlifted him to Hope Haven Animal Hospital. He named the lion Sahara, honoring both the harsh environment that nearly claimed him and the spirit that refused to give in. Sahara's condition was dire. Spinal trauma had left him immobile, and he was severely malnourished. Dr. Lena Maxwell, the attending neurologist, called it medically inexplicable when Sahara began moving his hind limbs after weeks of care. With relentless physical therapy, constant emotional support, and Vance's presence, Sahara began to heal. Against all odds. When video footage of Sahara's first wobbly steps went viral, the world responded. Millions watched as Vance gently supported the recovering lion, and donations poured in to fund his ongoing rehabilitation. 6 months after being rescued, Sahara was not only walking, he was running. Still, Sahara could never return to the wild. To protect him, Vance built a large, customized sanctuary where Sahara could live safely. But Sahara had different plans. One October morning, during their daily interaction, Sahara approached Vance and gently clasped his wrist in his jaws, not to harm, but to lead. He guided Vance to the enclosure gate, looked him in the eyes, and sat patiently, as if to say, "Trust me." Though it defied every rule, Vance opened the gate. Cameras captured what followed: a full-grown lion calmly walking beside a man through the desert, as news helicopters circled overhead. For nearly 2 miles, Sahara led Vance without aggression or fear, often glancing back to ensure he was being followed. Their destination? A pride of 3 lionesses with cubs, weak, thirsty, and struggling through a brutal drought. Vance recognized them from earlier patrols. They were the pride from the same region where Sahara had once collapsed. Instead of aggression, Sahara offered protection. He positioned himself between the lionesses and Vance, making soft vocalizations as if to say the human meant no harm. Astonishingly, the lionesses accepted Vance's presence, staying calm even with cubs nearby. It became clear, Sahara hadn't just wanted freedom. He had returned to help his family. The lionesses were starving. Natural water sources had vanished. Prey was scarce. Sahara, who had once been saved, was now asking Vance to save others. Over the following weeks, Vance coordinated emergency relief for the pride, setting up water stations, providing supplemental food, and working with local conservationists to monitor their well-being. Sahara remained at his side, acting as a bridge between 2 worlds. The footage of a wild lion guiding a human to help his pride became the most-watched wildlife video in internet history. Renowned primatologist Dr. Jane Goodall called it the most extraordinary display of cross-species cooperation and communication ever documented. Eventually, Sahara was returned to his sanctuary for safety. Though he never saw the wild again, his story inspired a global movement. He became a symbol of resilience and a face for lion conservation, helping raise millions for wildlife protection programs. Vance gave talks worldwide, using Sahara's journey to advocate for deeper understanding between species. Sahara lived 7 more years, full of dignity, strength, and calm. He often lay in the sun, watching the world with the same quiet intensity he'd shown that first day in the desert. Vance visited daily, their bond as strong as ever. In 2024, Sahara passed away peacefully, Vance at his side. The gentle giant who had once been left to die in the sand had transformed global attitudes toward wildlife. At his memorial, Vance spoke to a crowd of conservationists, friends, and viewers who had followed Sahara's story. Sahara taught me that the boundary between animal and human consciousness is far thinner than we imagined. He didn't just survive, he chose to help others. That's a lesson any human would be proud to learn. Sahara's legacy lives on in the lives he saved, the minds he changed, and the reminder he left behind. Compassion knows no species.